Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafter! Today we're going to make a 6x6 cascade card. For that we're going to need 4 pieces. This piece measures 9x6 and I'm scoring it at 1/4, 3/4, 1 1/4, 1 3/4. Then I'm scoring it at 7 1/4, 7 3/4, 8 1/4 and 8 3/4. Once those score lines are folded and burnished, they will give us the pillars on our cascade card. I have this piece here and it measures 9x4. We're going to score it the exact same as we did on the previous piece. 1/4, 3/4, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 7 1/4, 7 3/4, 8 1/4 and 8 3/4. This piece measures 9x3 and again we've scored it the same as the last two. And then we have a 4th piece of white card, this piece here, and it measures 9x2. And again we'll score it the same as the previous score lines, and I've left those measurements up on the screen. I will fold and burnish all those score lines on all 4 pieces of this white cardstock, and they will all be mountain folds. So we'll fold the first score line over, then the second, then the third, then the fourth. And you'll see our 4th little one there is a tab of 1/4 inch wide. And that's the piece we'll add some glue to, and then we can stick that down onto our card base like so. And then you'll be able to see we'll have these 2 pillars with a centerpiece, and on the centerpiece we'll be able to add some pattern paper. It will fold flat like so, when they're all stacked one on top of each other, they'll fit in a 6x6 envelope, but I'd recommend doing either a bouncy envelope or you can make a box envelope for your card, and that's what I'll do for mine. We'll need some pattern paper for between our pillars. Our first piece that I have here measures 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. I also have a piece in pink that measures the same. It'll go on the back of our card. This white piece, it measures 4 by 5.5 and it will sit on top of our plain pink piece. We'll stamp a sentiment there and it'll give us a place to write our message to the recipient. We also need this little piece. It measures 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch and it'll embellish the back of our panel. We need 3 more pieces of pattern paper for the front of our card. This piece measures 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, 4 1/4 by 2 3/4, 4 1/4 by 1 3/4. I also have some pink strips, you can see them here, to embellish the pillars. You can either embellish the pillars before we put on all our bits and pieces or afterwards. Now I have 8 pieces here measuring 1/4 inch by 5 3/4. I have 6 measuring 1/4 by 3 3/4. I have 6 measuring 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I have 6 measuring 1/4 by 1 3/4. So you can put these on and I'll tell you when to, or you can put them on towards the end and just cut them down as needed. I have a sentiment here. It's a die cut sentiment, a happy birthday die cut sentiment. I've used some dies from my stash. These are by Love from Lizi, and I'll leave links down below to Lizi's website where you can purchase these as well. So I love using these. They give us shadow as well as die cut out the words. I'm using some ephemera from Lizi's kit as well. These are the ephemera that we got, and these are the stickers. I really enjoyed making my 10 cards one kit using this kit, and I had lots left over, so I decided to make this card using it. I also have these really cool stickers as well, and all the products I'll have links to Lizi's website with the add-ons, etc. here. Okay, so I'm going to start off now doing the pillar section of our cascade card, and I'm starting with the smallest. we want to fold over and burnish these. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little better. So this is how I want to fold in my pillars so I'll be able to glue it down. So I have it folded over on the second score line, and then I'm adding glue to that little 1/4 inch tab. So then I can fold that whole thing, pinching it over and gluing it. So there's just one score line there under my fingers. I'm going to do the same on this one. I'll add some liquid glue to my little 1/4 inch tab. Then I'm folding it over so you can just see 2 panels after that little 1/4 inch tab. Once that's set, then you can lift up the pillars and we'll have our perfect little 1/2 inch square pillars then on either side. Lovely. Now let's speed everything up and assemble our card. I'll fold and burnish all the score lines. Once I've that done on both sides, then I can add my liquid glue to that little tab and then fold them both over. So we're left with just one score line in between on both sides, and that way you'll know that you've folded it over and glued it down correctly. So I'm burnishing my last 2 panels, and I'm making sure that they're all nice and evenly creased. And again, then I'll add my liquid glue to that little 1/4 inch tab on each side. I'm putting a heavy stamping block down on them once I have them glued down, and that's just to hold them in place while the glue sets. And I'm using my Cosmic Shimmer glue for this, but you can use any glue that you have in your craft room. So once I've that done, then I'm going to fold up my pillars, and I can see that they're all done nicely. I'm really happy with that. Looks like I'm juggling them there. But next I want to add in my pattern paper. So again, I'm going to use the Cosmic Shimmer glue and glue them down into place. For the 2 larger panels of pattern paper, I'll then move over to my Collal Glue and I'll use that to stick those in place. And then we have them all done. Now is the time to add the strips to your pillars. I'll add mine later. I also have a panel to go on the front here. I'll give you the measurements to that when we get there, but I'm going to leave that and do that later as well. So we want to add some glue to our pillars now and glue them down. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've zoomed in here again so you can see exactly where I'm putting my glue on this pillar. And it's going to sit directly on top of the pillar behind, and I'm going to line them up so they're level at the bottom as well as flush with the side. And once we have that leveled up, we can squeeze that together, the front and that panel sitting behind, and that'll allow our glue then to set in the correct place. So once I'm happy that the glue has set on that side, then I'll be able to open up my 2 little pillars there. It's glued nicely together, nice and level and even. And then we can do the same thing now on the other side. So we want to put these 2 together, then squeeze them together so that they flatten down, and that will then join them together. You can see there how I'm squeezing them between my thumb and fingers. So we can add a little bit of glue onto the back of this pillar. Not too much, I don't want it leaking everywhere. Then I'm going to sit them so that they're level at the bottom, and then squeeze the 2 panels together so that they're nice and even and level. And we're going to do that then with the next one down, we'll do the exact same thing, and to the bottom one. So again, I'm adding my liquid glue behind the panel, and then I'm sticking that down to the one behind it, exactly the same as we've done with the first 2. And again, I'll do that on the other side, add a little glue, then straight, making sure the bottom is level on each of them, because we want to make sure that when our card is sitting up, all these 4 are level on the bottom. So that's the most important thing to do, making sure they're all nice and level. So now I'm adding glue to these 2 last pillars, and then I'll add that onto our last panel. And I'm being very brave, I added the glue on both sides, but I'm pretty confident now they're going to sit nicely. There we go. So now I've added some of the strips to one side. I'm going to add them to the other now. And like I said, if you have already added your strips when I told you to do it, you won't have to do this piece. I've left this to the end, and I'm going to add in all my strips all along. And then the strips that need to be cut down, I'll just trim them to size. And those are the little ones that go on the front along here. You can also see there I have a panel across the front of our card. That panel in white measures 5.5 by 1, and then on top of that I put some pattern paper, and that measures 5.25 by 3/4 of an inch, and that's just to bring the whole thing together. The little pieces here that I'm putting on the back panel, these ones measure 1 3/4 in length, and then the 6 others, they are 1/4 of an inch by 3/4. So if you've already put your strips on, you've this all done. I've put these on afterwards because, to be honest, I was watching a series, and I was so busy watching the series as well as putting the card together that I totally forgot to add my strips. But you can just as easily do it this way. I mean, all the rest of the lengths are correct for you to fit down the insides and on the outside, so it still works out perfect. Okay, so I have all them on there. You can see the little panel I have to the front. Now I'm going to go to the back. So I'm going to put the long one now on the back panel, and this is behind where our pillar would be to the front. Then I'm going to add my pink matte layer. I'll put that in, and then once I have that on, I'll put the other little strip on. And now I can work on the white panel that's going to sit on this. So I'm going to add my little strip of pattern paper for across the bottom. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I've taken a stamp out of my... It's a card making magic sentiment, and it's very hard to get this. So yeah, that's it. I took some of the ephemera and I've just embellished all the different layers or cascades. My card, when it's out and open, is 6 by 6, and it's a lovely deep card. I've added some stickers as well to the back of it. And you'll see here I've added those to the strip along the bottom. I've put 3 of the sneakers and then some flowers around my sentiment. I really do love this, and it's 2 inches deep when it's open, and when it falls flat we're going to press 1 to the right, 1 to the left, 1 to the right, and 1 to the left, so they all line up in a row like this, and that way it'll fit in your envelope. If we were to flatten it this way, then we're adding 1.5 inches, so instead of it being 6 inches wide, it would be 7.5 inches wide, and we don't want that. So there you go, it pops back up and sits like this then, and it's all ready to display on your mantelpiece. So I'm going to leave you now with some images of the card we've made. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, you might give it a thumbs up. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing, and if not, you might click on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. That way you'll be notified each time I post a new video. Until next time, folks, thanks for watching, stay safe, and bye for now.